Don't worry, ladies. He won't ghost you. We'll be talking to Linc Hand from Fox's paranormal comedy, Ghosted, right after this.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hi, AfterBuzzers. You're watching Mini Spotlight, where we highlight rising stars in music, TV, and film. I'm your host, Amy Cassandra Martinez, and you can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. And I am joined by someone who found my joke at the beginning of this very funny Linc Hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get started, can you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
You can find me on all social media at the Linc Hand. It's LINCHAND. That's all my stuff.
Easy peasy. Okay. Now, despite what I said about ghosting at the beginning, it's not about dating. The show is not about, leaving someone.
Not at all.
It's not about that. Can you tell people what it's about?
Ghosted is a very easy way to put it. It's like a comedy X-Files.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a very fun way to tackle like some mythical monsters, ghosts, anything scary, and then kind of do it in a funny way.
And now Craig Robinson's in it.
Craig Robinson, Adam Scott.
Adam Scott as well. What is that like?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Because just to be in a room, be on set was the whole cast is like so established and so good. You can't. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. Especially when if you're supposed to tell a joke, and then you got Craig Robinson and Adam Scott saying, you're like, okay.
No big deal.
Yeah, let me try not to mess this one up.
I know. Well, see, I first fell in love with Craig Robinson in The Office. Yeah.
Everything. Like for me, like obviously The Office, Pineapple Express. Just there's so many things. The dude's hysterical, and I love that guy. Like in between. We were on location one day and we got to throw the football around. So anytime I get to do anything athletic with somebody, I'm like, yo, right away. Right away, we're good.
Yeah, well, see, I did a lot of digging on you, and I've seen. I've seen a lot of videos, a lot of different information about you. But yeah, you're a very big sports guy, which is awesome.
I'm a sports nut.
Yeah. Okay, so what sports did you play when you were younger?
I played everything. I was football, basketball, played baseball up until like junior high, and I stopped playing that just so I could make more time to play the other sports. But if it was anything athletic, I did it. And growing up in the South, that's all you do. You get barefooted, run around, play sports, or go in the woods and catch stuff.
See, well, and I asked you beforehand if you said y'all at all, because I'm from Texas, so if I'm ever around other Southerners, the y'alls just come out. So if it happens, guys, feel free to chime in while you're watching. Just say y'all, yeehaw.
It feels good. Let it happen.
Right?
Just let it flow. It's so good.
Just let yourself be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is, we were talking about sports and how a huge part of your life that is.
Right.
And now you also act, of course. So those two worlds met beautifully when you did a movie.
Right.
Which one was it?
42. Mm-hmm. That was such a very crazy experience. Like, when I first got the audition, I just looked and saw the network of what it's going to be. I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to this. There's no way I'm getting this movie. Like, it's not going to happen. Let me go in. Like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll go in for a ball player. Like, I'm not getting it. And then all of a sudden, I kept going to these callbacks. And so for the last one, I messed up. Do you need to?
I'm excited because I think this is what. Yeah, keep going.
and so I messed up, and I looked and saw who was in the movie, and it was Harrison Ford, and I was like, oh, hold on a second, and I'm meeting with Brian Hegland, who's an Academy Award-winning writer, and
I'm getting nervous just you telling me. Oh my gosh.
So I full on start panicking. I'm like, oh my god, and we got time to do the baseball tryouts. And I'm running late because I had an audition before I went to go do it. And so I run outside. I'm running out to the street. I'm stripping my clothes off, running down the street, and throw my stuff in the trunk. And I get ready to go jump in my car and go to the baseball tryout. And I threw my keys into the trunk of my car. So I was locked out of my car. And so, full panic mode, I kind of freak out, look across the street, and there was a General Motors right there because I had a Chevrolet. Ran across, I'm like, hey, can you cut a key to my trunk? Can you do it right now in like 5 seconds? I got this movie, it's Harrison Ford, I'm doing it. And I'm just freaking out. And the guy's looking at me like I'm insane.
Of course.
And so they're like, we can't do that without your ID. I'm like, it's in the car, brother, it's in the car, man. Like, what do you want me to do? And so finally, after about 2 minutes of realizing that I'm not going to sell him on it, I said, give me a hammer, man. So I run back to my car, I smash out the window to my car, jump in, crawl to the trunk, get my keys, tell the guy thanks. He takes the glass back to the shop, and then I start bombing down the freeway, and it's the 405. So if you're not from LA, the 405 is a 6-lane parking lot. Always, doesn't matter what time of day, parking lot. And if you're from here, then you know the struggle was real.
Yes, it is.
And had to go all the way to Westlake, like in the middle of like. It's a 45-minute drive with no traffic, and I was about to be. I had 30 minutes to get there. God moved traffic. It was crazy. So I found seams, got to the 101, and I bombed it. Got there, slid into the parking lot at the baseball field, and jumped out of my car. And casting's there, and everybody's kind of standing there. And I run up. I'm like, "Is this 42?" And they're like, "Yeah, but that's not a parking spot. Go park your car." And I was like, okay. And I go park on the street, and I come running back. And then, so the only actors that were there at this tryout were myself, John Bernthal, and Ben McKenzie. And so I'm walking in going, wait a minute, what is happening right now? And so everybody's kind of staring at me like I'm an idiot. And so the second unit director goes, your manager called us and told us what happened. So why'd you do it? Why'd you bust out the window to your car? And I was like, I didn't want to be late. And so everybody just kind of took this, there was this long pause, everybody just took this breath, and they're like, okay, let's see what you got. And then it went from there. And I had no idea what was going to happen, but I knew the rest of my career, nothing would ever get in my way. I'm going to smash it, whatever it is.
Literally.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Literally. I love that story because it just, I mean, you know, a lot of people, they get scared and they stand in their own way, and it's like, no, you know what, I shouldn't do this. I don't think I can do it, or whatever, for whatever reason. And you really show, no, go for it. Like, literally, do not let anything, even your car window, stand in your way. Break it if you have to.
Yeah. And it still happens. It still happens all the time. You'll look at something and go, wait a minute, okay, that's not going to happen. And you just have to shut up and do it.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes.
Where do you think that comes from?
I'm stubborn.
You're so.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to prove, like, to myself, because I quit one time in my life, and that haunts me. Right? Went to college to play sports, and I got angry and I quit. Moved out here, so things worked out, but it still haunts me that I was weak and I quit. And so I made myself a promise when I did that I would never ever let that happen again. And so anytime I get close, or in the past where I would get close to something, I'm really going through some stuff, I would remember that promise I made to myself. I was like, okay, you suck it up.
Whoa. We should be a motivational speaker. I just felt moved right now. That was amazing. Well, see, and now I can't help but think you've come a long way. You've done so much, from, you know, breaking your car window to, you know, being ghosted. What has been your proudest moment so far?
All right, we're gonna get sad, so I apologize.
Okay.
Real quick. So you might want to brace yourself on this one. So when 42 happened, that was obviously my first big studio movie, and things that really kind of started moving things forward. And me and my dad, we always had this joke, because me and my dad were super tight. We're like incredibly tight. And we always had this joke. He's like, one day somebody's going to mess up and give you a chance. And so that was a running joke. And he would say something besides mess up. I'm just keeping it super PG.
Thank you.
And so that was always our thing. And so I got 42. My dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. And so we had a premiere private screening of 42 in Alabama, where the mayor and all these people came to see it, and I was the only cast member that was there. And so I'm in this studio, and there's like 500 people in there, and I kind of, said some stuff to them at the beginning, and I got to sit down and watch the movie with my dad. And
It's okay.
here's the sad thing. So we're watching it, and my dad's sitting with me in the moment where I first appear on screen. I will never forget my dad putting his hand on my leg, and it just kind of smiled, and he had like a tear because he's getting to see his son on the big screen. That's what we had always talked about. And not too long after that, he passed. So it was like, that's my proudest moment, that I actually my dad got to see it. You know what I mean? So,
Well, and you got to see your dad see it.
yeah, it was so many stories about that, but that'd be a whole. We'll all need a bunch of Kleenex.
Hey, I know, but that's beautiful, and it just makes you think, like, he saw you at the beginning of it all,
Yeah,
and look at
absolutely.
you now.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't help but think what he'd say to you now. That's so you're laughing.
Oh, yeah.
What would he say?
Well, hopefully he'd say he's proud of me, right?
Yeah.
And the laugh was because I can hear him right now going, yeah, they messed up and gave you a job, and you just held on. And but that was our relationship, and that's the way it was. And that's also kind of goes back to that drive. I always promised him. It's like, because when I moved away, he's like, if you do this, he's like, you got to do it. Because you got to go for it. Don't quit. And so again, that's that thing. It's always my dad's voice going, hey, come on. And he has so many great stories, and I'll give you one quick, just make this one super quick. But there was a point when I was talking to my dad. This was early on when I moved out here, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna move back home. Like, I'm gonna start dating the girl that I was dating again. The whole thing, like, move back home, get married, settle, all that. And my dad, very quickly, he goes, buddy, he goes, no. And I'm like, what? And he goes, here's the deal. He goes, you remember when you were in high school? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, you remember all you want to do was get out, go play sports, be gone. I was like, yeah. And he goes, now that you're out, and you remember how much you miss it, and you talk about it, like the stuff you got to do. And he goes, you remember when we left Alabama and drove to California, because my dad drove out with me. And he goes, you remember how much fun we had that whole drive? And I said, yeah, of course, it was amazing. He goes, how much would you have missed if you just woke up and then the next day you were in California and you missed all that in between? He's like, that's the beauty of it. He's like, don't give up the in between for the end.
Ooh.
And it's like that, I mean, like, oh, just so good, so good, so good.
Serious, I knew this interview was going to be inspirational because I've seen all your stuff, but that just perfectly wraps it. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope you guys go for it. Break windows. Do whatever it takes to just keep going for your dreams. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
And if you could just tell everyone where they can find you, and on Ghosted everywhere, guys, where can they find you?
The Linc Hand on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is Linc Hand. So I'd love for you guys to check in and see some crazy, and see a lot of pictures of my dog.
Cute dog too. And I'm Amy Cassandra Martinez, and you can find me on all social media at Amy Cassandra MTZ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.